Greg, what do you make of what we just heard there from both Main Street Project and the West Central Women's Resource Centre?
We have really exceptional outreach workers and outreach partners in the city. Jamil's team at Main Street Project, we've been working with them since 2019. They're very passionate, very strong. They're advocates for the population that they serve. We're very lucky. I think that they're not wrong. We're working right now in a time where there are a lot of people who are living unsheltered, and we're struggling to provide housing across the country. Right, we're in a housing crisis, so it's a difficult moment for all of us who care deeply about people, and we want to see our neighbors safe. So I don't. I think that I take the best from what Jamil is saying. I think similarly, Ren with West Central Women's Resource Centre. I know Ren, very strong advocate, very good with the population that she serves. So we are, I think, very lucky to have partners like that. This is a new protocol for us, so we're working through it. There's some wrinkles that we need to work on in terms of communications with one another, but I think we're getting there.
When we spoke to you last month, you had previously said that nobody would be removed from encampments before being offered housing first. Has that changed?
No, and we will not move anybody unless there's a criminality issue or a life safety issue. We're not pressing to have people removed from sites without an offer of housing, and that's complicated. But it's minus. Well, today's -1, I think, but it's really dipped. The temperature's gone down in the last couple of weeks, so we're seeing what I think Jamil described there as a shortage of shelter spaces. We don't want to put people into a place where they're not going to be safe. So that's the bottom line for us, and we're not pressing to do that. We need to protect our public spaces, but not at the cost of hurting anyone.
Does this mean that even if there are encampments near spaces that the bylaw says they cannot be, more time will be given, or will anything change, or what are you saying here?
Well, I'm saying, firstly, it's not a new bylaw. This is an existing bylaw we've had for many years that restricts people's freedom to camp, basically, in parks. Council's just asked us to adopt a new policy that you described it a few minutes ago, restricts camping in certain sites, from distances from daycares, from train crossings, playgrounds, and we're trying in our the best we can to enforce those restrictions. At this stage, though, we're doing that slowly. In absence of available housing, that looks a little different. If we had a lot of housing at our disposal, our partners, so we don't provide housing. The City of Winnipeg's role in this is garbage removal. We support outreach. We help to manage and fund outreach, and we do enforcement when absolutely necessary. But until we get to that point, there are many steps that are taken in the middle, and we rely on our outreach partners to do that work. That's their role in this.
But it is, we should clarify, this is a city bylaw.
It's a city bylaw, yeah. The parks bylaw, streets bylaw, and waterways bylaws all restrict where people are allowed to camp in our city.
CBC has heard from some folks in these encampments who say they don't want to go to a shelter for various reasons. Some of them have cited just feelings of safety in these spaces. They say they will just set up camps somewhere else. How concerned are you that this is just kind of chasing the problem around the city?
Well, I think it's, this is an interesting moment we're in. It's complicated. We had a large number of people camping outside all through last year, much, much more volume than we had experienced previously. There are no easy solutions. We do, as a city, we owe it to our population to support public spaces. We have parks and playgrounds. I have a little boy, he's 5, and I bring him to a playground on a regular basis in splash pads. And we owe it to everyone who wants to access those public spaces to maintain their safety. So encampments are, I like to think of this as a co-occurrent crises. On one hand, we all want to solve homelessness. That's the big picture crisis. On the other hand, we have encampments, and they bring with them a lot of complicated issues. So we as a city are responsible for trying to manage our public spaces, and that's challenging. There's no easy answers to that, but part of it is to find housing for people. So we work with the provincial government, with our outreach partners. That's their end of this, and we try to support them in the best way we can. And they support us in their way as well. So it's an evolving and I think improving relationship and partnership.
Lisa, I'm curious about the role that the Winnipeg Fire Paramedic Service plays in supporting outreach during the clearing of these encampments. What's the role?
So our role hasn't actually changed that much with the new protocol. We've always been working in encampments. We've always been speaking to encampments, the individuals living in encampments about fire safety. And we've been working closely with outreach on fire safety too to make sure that message is clear. I think one area where there was some misinformation around the Mostyn Park one was with the cleanup. So after any fire in an encampment, our teams will go in and we will put tape around the area that's burnt and we'll order cleanup with Public Works. Often when that occurs, the individuals living in the encampment will then bring additional garbage that needs to be cleaned up into that taped off area. So it looks like there's more there than what was initially burnt. And that cleanup in Granite a couple of weeks ago was just the cleanup of the burnt up area. So that's one way that we've been working closely with outreach and with the individuals living in encampments, and we've been doing that for over a year.
So you're not actively removing items from folks who are actively living there?
No, we tape the area up, and if they want to add items to that would be included in the encampment. We'll also tape up vacant encampments that we find as we go about our check-in on encampments, and those would also get taped up for cleanup.
What challenges has your team had on the ground when enforcing this plan or entering these spaces?
I think encampments can be dangerous spaces. I'll say during a fire, you're often unsure what's in there. So it's always dangerous for our crews. But it's also dangerous for fires in encampments for the individuals that are living there and for everybody living around the encampments and for anybody who's working in and out of them too. And so there's a lot of unknowns when we enter into encampment spaces. And then certainly at this time of year when people are trying to stay warm, we do see more fires increase in the encampments.
Greg, I want to ask you about the idea of a triage site or organized encampment zone. Councillor Ross Eady says he wants to turn the Louise Bridge encampment into a triage site that would have supports for people as they transition from an encampment into housing. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've been asked to do some research into that subject, the idea of a managed encampment site. We've been given, I think, a couple of months to provide a report. So I don't have a lot to offer at this stage, but I know that other cities have had experience doing that. And it's mixed results. Some cities have done well. Other cities have struggled and canceled the approach. But we'll provide that information for council in a couple of months.
I believe Councillor Cindy Gilroy visited Halifax to look at this?
That's right.
Okay. So the city is taking this into account and is creating a report, you're saying?
Yes, exactly. Okay. Yeah. Last week at EPC, we were directed to provide a report back that provides a list of information that gives the councillors a chance to fully understand their options and adopt a platform or way forward that makes the most sense for them.
What sort of lessons has the city learned so far that might lead to changes in how this bylaw is enforced in the future?
Well, I think it's a matter of collaboration. You know, we have the resources that we have are finite. I think we're learning our responsibility as a city. We weren't expecting the degree of encampment size that we experienced last year. It was a challenge. We also had hopes, I think. We put a lot of faith in our provincial partners who are amazing, and they're working really hard to provide new units of housing and to try to solve that crisis of the housing shortage. We're contributing in our own way as well, but I think that without the adequate supply of units, and if people still persist in camping outside throughout the year, it creates, a unique set of circumstances that's not always easy to mitigate or to control. So we're learning as we go. It's an evolving situation. I think that my real hope in all this, and the thing that I hang my hat on, is that we all mean well. Everybody wants the same thing. We want to protect our vulnerable neighbors. We want to be sure that our public spaces are accessible, and we want to try to house people who need the housing. So.
Greg, Lisa, thank you so much for making the time to join us this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Greg MacPherson, Winnipeg's acting manager of community development, and Lisa Gilmour, assistant chief of community risk reduction.